Okay, it's 6:30, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm Terry McCullough. I'm the president of the Weaver County League of Women Voters. What the League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization. We work to educate voters and register voters and talk about issues, different issues. We lobby the legislature for studies that we've done. We are totally nonpartisan though, so this is a nonpartisan race, so nobody has to worry about what their party is when you're selecting your candidate. Pick the one that is the best for you. We do have a card back there, Julie, maybe we'll hold it up, that says vote411.org. If you want to, you can pick one of those up. That's an excellent resource for figuring out a little bit about the candidates. That's our biggest complaint. People say, I don't know who they are, I'm not gonna vote. Well, grab one of those cards, put in vote411.org, put in your address, and it will pull up the candidates' answers to some questions that we asked them. So that gives you a little idea of what they're doing. A little idea of what they're about. You threw me, Keith. Hi. I used to work with him.
Old acquaintance.
Old.
Long time.
Yeah, that's good. Thought it was a word. Well, the way this rolls is we'll start with 2 minutes and for you to tell you a little bit about yourself. You know, what kind of, anything you want the public to know. Then every question you'll have a minute to answer. I do know that a minute is short or it's long. So everybody needs to get to the point. Because if I stopped you on the street, you really don't have 5 minutes to answer me. You know, if I ask you a question, we want to see what your answer is. At the end, you get a minute and a half to be able to tell everybody in this room why you're the best candidate for the job. My timer's right here, Karen. It will show you a 30-second paddle. That tells you that you have 30 seconds, obviously. And then the stop panel, she hits you with it when you're done.
Okay.
If you don't stop. People have been passionate this year, and sometimes it's real hard. They want to just keep on going. I'm trying to think of what other thing you missed. I think that's it. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. And that's what I forgot. This is being live streamed. It is on our Facebook page, Weaver County League of Women Voters, right now, and it will be there for 30 days. So if someone wants to see it, and I'm surprised by how many people watch the videos. And I will also send a copy of our Zoom link to all of the candidates. So if you want a copy, you want to watch it on Zoom, just email one of those and have them send it to you. Okay? All right, let's start. We'll start with, somebody lost my mind. Austin, correct? Let's see, Austin, Rob, Ryan, Brad, Ryan. That was a quiz. Okay, Austin, 2 minutes to tell us all about it. So I'm gonna sit here because I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can't stand.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you, Terry, so much. Thank you for organizing this, such a big help. A lot of work goes onto this, so a lot of emails back and forth, and just can't thank Terry enough for being willing to give us a platform to come out in front of all of you and talk. And then secondly, thank you all of you for being here. That's what it's all about, is getting involved in the community. When I decided to run for mayor, Mayor Vanderwood reached out to me, and I came in and we had a brief conversation. He essentially asked the same question: what's motivating you? Why do you want to run for mayor? And for me, it was pretty easy. In past elections, both local and national elections, whenever debates and election time came, I was always so disappointed in candidates that were running and the way that they attacked each other and looked for the negative in the city or in the state or the country. And I felt like it just drove a huge wedge in the country. I think it started with the country and then it came down to our city as well. And I wanted to be the difference. I wanted to be the good, be the change. I felt like it was really easy to sit back and criticize those people that are putting themselves out there. And it's really hard to put yourself out there and be the good and be the change. And so what I said is, I'm gonna run for mayor and I'm gonna give it 100%. I'm gonna work hard, I'm gonna do everything I can, I'm gonna put the city first, and I'm gonna do it without attacking anybody or calling out the negative. We have such good people in this city that work so hard, and it's a shame to me to see them put down for hard work that they're doing. So I'll lead by example by building the city up and bringing us together. Thank you.
Okay,
Rob?
can you hear me okay? All right. Well, my name is Rob Vanderwood, and again, I've been the mayor of West Haven for 4 years. I was able to serve on the city council prior to that and had a lot of jobs in between that with the city. I have a great family. My family is super supportive. My wife is my best friend. I've been married for 30 years and really appreciated all my kids and everybody that's been involved with my family overall. I retired from my job. I was in molecular diagnostics and as a senior manager in government affairs and market access. And I did that because I was spending so much time in the city. This isn't really a part-time job. It takes a lot of time, and I retired early just so that I could spend some more time within the city overall. But it's been successful. We've had a successful run for the last 4 years with a great council, and there's a lot of things that have gone on within the city that we got corrected and on a right path. But overall, I'm kind of a country guy. I have horses and cattle. I enjoy spending time with family. We do a lot of boating and just enjoy our time together. And I want to live in a place that's fantastic, and West Haven's it. We could have moved back anywhere. I only spent a few years away from here, and I had the chance to move back. When I did, I felt like it was because West Haven was the place to be. And so I care about the city, I care about the residents. I've got to know a lot of the residents and learned to love and appreciate them, made a lot of friends. And it's been a great experience for me and my family, and hopefully for the city moving forward. So I appreciate everything that the city's done for me as well. Thank you.
My name is Ryan Swap. I'm the one hiding behind all the signs in the alley here. So, hi. I moved to West Haven 14 years ago. And, oh, sorry, it's not 14 years ago, so 12 years ago. And I moved here to find a rural place that I could call home and somewhere I could raise my kids where it was peaceful. And through that time, we saw a lot of change in West Haven. We saw a lot of high density go up. We saw a lot of building that was out of place, and that caught my attention. And so I was just a concerned resident at the time, and I started following politics and seeing what was going on with the city council and the planning commission, and kind of drove me to get invested all the way to the point where I ran for city council 4 years ago and was elected to city council. And through that time, I have learned a great deal. The experience it's been fun. It was a lot to take in. You can't make everybody happy, but we definitely try. And we made a really positive impact with this council and the council before as far as changing the growth and the strategy of this city. And we want to continue that, and that's what I'm here to do. So a little background about me. I'm in construction. I've been in construction since I was 16 years old, so quite a while now. I'm also a citizen soldier in the Utah Army National Guard, where I also serve on the Urban Search and Rescue. And that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you. Brad?
My name is Brad Smith. Hope this is working. I moved to West Haven about 4 years ago. I grew up in Roy, spent my whole childhood until I was 18 in Weber County and in Roy. So West Haven is the area I got to go biking as a teenager, and down 4,000 when it was a 2-lane road before it was expanded. And I loved coming out here. do 50-mile bike rides just because through West Haven, Hope, or because it's rural and I didn't have to fear about getting hit by a car. Which is kind of funny because my senior year I was hit by a car, but that was in Roy, so no worries. But I spent several years working for the state of Utah and so I got the years of public service from one perspective, and I never thought I'm going to run for city council. One day I happened to be on West Haven's website and saw, oh, look, there's a city council position open. I better go do that. This is back in the first week of June. And so I came over here, and Emily was really good about letting me fill out the paperwork. It was kind of the end of the day. I have two beautiful girls. They're 4 and 6 years old. One's about to turn 5, and she won't let me forget it. And I love having a place that we feel safe compared to other places we've been. And I can wake up and still hear the rooster and the crowing in the morning and driving out and saying, oh, look, there's some horses, and look, there's some cows. My girls will joke, look, those cows are for dinner. I love West Haven. Being here was definitely a good move for us. Thank you.
Right?
Well, I want to say thanks to everybody for being here, and thank you for those that organized this event. My name is Ryan Saunders, as has been mentioned. I've lived in West Haven for just over 51 years. I grew up here and stayed here. I briefly moved out of the country serving my church as a missionary, and came home and spent a little bit of time in Clearfield. But other than that, I've lived here in West Haven because I love it, and I've stayed here, and we built a home here. My wife and I, she's here today, and we've raised 4 children here because it is a great place to call home. And I also help run Saunders Outdoor Advertising and Family Business, which I'm the president of, and our business is basically to promote other businesses. And I've had a little bit of experience through that opportunity to meet with cities and meet with different entities within cities. And kind of through that, I started to think about running for office because, quite frankly, I didn't like the way I was treated in some of the meetings that I attended. And I wanted to kind of be a little bit of a change for that. And also I wanted to be able to protect the place that I call home and try to make it better. And I recognize that there's a lot of changes that have happened, and some of those are inevitable, but I do want to preserve what we can that's great about West Haven, and then continue to look for ways to improve it. I appreciate everyone that's up here on the stand. This is not an easy thing to run for office, and I just want to say thanks to the other candidates as well for being here. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Rob. Describe for me what you see sustained, controlled growth to look like.
Well, that's a great question. Sustained, controlled growth. This council has done an excellent job at that. Overall, I think that was what I was hired to do when the people voted me in at that time, was that we were having some struggles, I think, building too fast without the infrastructure. And with that growth, it created a lot of concerns and issues that we've had to deal with over time. So I think as we continue to work through that process, we're seeing that growth. We want to continue to move in the direction that we have. And the sustainability is that we have great diversity of housing. People have the opportunity here to age in place. They can have the home that they want, and they can sell that home and move into something a little bit smaller if they want. So it creates a lot of diversity of housing here in West Haven that we have been able to create. So thank you.
Thank you. Ryan?
So when I think of controlled growth, to turn my microphone on there. When I think of controlled growth, I think of organic growth as being the foundation of what our city should see. We had a time here in the city where building was, a lot of people would use the word out of control, but we were trying to achieve something by bringing business to the city with the mixed use zone. And unfortunately that got taken advantage of. And we saw high density come in everywhere. We've worked really hard on our zoning to kind of pull back a little bit and to pause and understand what this city's vision needs to be and what can we do to protect it. And, so that's what organic growth means to me, is to slow it down, make sure we have responsible zoning and that we are making good decisions for the future of the city.
Brad?
I think that, well, West Haven has grown a lot. 25 years ago, this city had about 3,000 people, and now we're just over 20,000. And West Haven's been rated as the fastest growing city in the state of Utah based on percentage. And I think that's a good thing in one way and bad in another. These fields that we enjoy, the agricultural areas, are disappearing, like has been mentioned here. I think that designated green zones need to be established. And I'm not sure about the legal process to do that, but that says there will be no the big high density development here, no commercial development. But I also welcome affordable housing, medium homes, and bigger homes so that we can get everyone. Thank you.
To me, sustained controlled growth is just kind of, as has been mentioned, kind of smart growth, but I think some growth is inevitable and important. And it's important to our economy. And so, but we obviously don't want to get out of control. And one of the ways that we can kind of help that as a city, we can't control the demands for housing, but we can try to put in place the brick zoning that will allow for the proper growth to go in the proper areas and allow buffering and those kind of things. And I think it's important that we get our general plan right, and that's what we've been working towards, and we're making some real progress towards that. So, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think, well, it's a little tough going last on this one, but it's probably gonna be like that for us tonight. Sustained growth is tricky because it is inevitable and it's gonna happen, and it has to start with planning. I spent 7 years on the planning commission where I really learned a lot about what it takes to plan the city. And it's a tough thing, but it has to be done carefully. And I think when the general plan got changed, that's when probably all of us up here and probably a lot of you got involved, because we wanted to stop that growth at the rate that it was growing and the high density things. And so that's definitely something that I want to focus on, is the way that we set out our general plans to make sure that we plan to where we get the right growth, because it is going to happen, but it doesn't have to happen at a high pace and in high density. We can keep that density low.
Okay, can you hear me? We started with Rob last time, so we'll start with Ryan next. Name one specific thing you can do to increase walkability, as that is a complaint being heard.
Walkability, so keep turning my microphone off here. Walkability is two different things. We have our trail system through the park where we have a lot of dead end trails that didn't connect, and that has to go back with planning and also going back to the city not having the monies in the coffers to buy land to connect those. The other side of that is also our sidewalks, and that's a huge concern for us. We have developed as a city, and as it started with the subdivision by subdivision, we started to have just little pockets of houses and connected by rural roads with irrigation ditches on both sides. But as that has continued, we now have a huge disconnect with our children, especially getting to school, and just the mobility of folks getting around. And so that's a huge priority of mine going forward here in this next 4 years, if I'm elected, that we push for connectivity for sidewalks. But we need to do it responsibly and make sure we're spending the money we do have responsibly. Okay? It's it.
Brad?
I think that sidewalks definitely need to be developed in a safe manner. And I want to make sure that the city is taking advantage of all the programs and grants and match programs that are available to help alleviate the burden that it provides or puts on the city's budget. You know, the city may have a few $1 million, but building out sidewalks, concrete's not expensive, or it's very expensive. I correct myself there. And when I take my girls out for a walk, there's portions of 4,000 that we want to go and we can't because there is no sidewalk. And we've noticed that in other areas, but we do appreciate the work the city has put in to the connectivity of all the parks. And in line with the governor's proposal for having an active trail system, that Weber County and all the other counties are connected through trails. So it's not just something about the state, but thank you.
Okay, sidewalks and the trail systems that's been mentioned, those are important items. One of the things that the city has done, it is kind of a blind spot for the city. In some of the areas we kind of missed on planning for the sidewalks. We've realized that we're revamping and trying to put together a long-term plan. We've kind of prioritized the sidewalks that need to be worked on first, and we began to work on that heavily, and that's become a priority for the current council and for me as well. I'll continue to push that, and I think it's important that we have the connectivity in our trails as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the sidewalks and the trail connectivity is a big part of West Haven. There was a time when I was riding the trail on my bike where it didn't all connect, and now it's pretty close. And I love that part of our city, and I love the way that it connects. It goes all the way from the canyon to Salt Lake on the trail systems. And then sidewalks really comes down to budgeting and prioritizing. Making sure that we prioritize to get the sidewalks in the right places that we need them with the schools opening. I know the current council made a big push to make sure that those kids were safe, getting back and forth to school. And we still have so many places in our city where there's not appropriate placing on crosswalks and cross guards. So that's just a priority thing that we need to make sure that we're not overlooking and budgeting properly for it so that we can get those taken care of.
Yeah, it's super important, obviously, and the school district, we work very closely with. We had a lot of new schools come up in our area and created a lot of, where we had to go from a country setting of West Haven, which everybody loved, to move to some type of a more urban type development to make sure the kids are safe. We've done a lot of projects already on the council, and we spent a lot of money trying to get those things done, but that's the important part, is the safety of getting people around the city. The other part is just making sure that funding is set aside. We talked about grants. That's one thing that I've tried to do, is make sure that we have those grants. We brought in quite a bit of money from different areas to try and make sure we had funding for some of these, but it's a planning. You got to plan for these types of things, and walkability is a big part of any city.
Thank you. Let's start with Brad. Where do you see gaps in the city's current communication with residents, and what would you plan to do to fix that?
I like that the city has social media, Facebook page, and I don't know about any other social media because I don't have those. But when events are happening, unless I happen to click on the city's page, I don't know when art events are happening, or go to the city council page and I'll see that the West Haven Days are happening. Thankfully, it happens at the same time every year, so I know when that is. So I think that there needs to be a bigger push for making communication with residents more open and transparent so that everybody is aware of what's going on instead of those who just have social media or happen to drive by and see the sign that is hopefully still standing after the recent windstorms. So I would definitely push to make sure that we have more open and better channels of communication.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is one of those areas that was brought up in a recent citizen survey, and hopefully you all were able to see that, participate in it. But we do have, you know, internet communication. We have the city newsletter that I think goes out quarterly now. We used to have a hard copy that goes in with your utility bills, and we found in the survey that that was actually one of the most effective ways to communicate to the residents. And so we've kind of gone back and reevaluated and tried to increase the amount of newsletters that we put out. And I think, in addition to that, we probably in the future need to look at some sort of signage. We have looked at that a little bit, but it is expensive, but it's something that maybe could help improve, you know, people being aware, like Brad mentioned, wasn't aware of some of the events, but it would be nice to have something that would let people know about that.
Austin?
Yeah, this is a big one, for me, that I've got a lot of opinions and feedback on, and there's a lot, and even sitting on the planning commission, this isn't a great setup. The other gentleman up here can vouch for me that the screens are in the way and it makes it hard, and sometimes our microphones are hard to hear if we don't talk right into it. So when you come to city council or a planning commission, it's really kind of hard as a citizen to pay attention and follow along to what's going on. So some of these things can be upgraded, but I think the biggest thing is when we have elected officials like us and we're posting on social media, it's really hard. And I think social media and messaging from the city should come from city officials on city page, officially coming out, so that we're really clear on what's a personal page and what's a city page.
Rob?
Yes, when you have gaps in communication, it's because you have age differences. We've tried to recognize that. One of the problems that we've tried to work with is Councilmember Saunders brought to your attention was that we did a survey. We found a lot of the people enjoy the newsletters. We tried to ramp those up a little bit because everybody gets a chance to read them. And some people just toss them and they don't get the information. So social media is a great opportunity. We've done videos, we've done all kinds of things trying to make it happen, but it's difficult to get people to engage. So I think as people and residents here in West Haven start to get more involved instead of just paying attention to what's going on in your backyard all the time, if you just look at the agendas that are on there and get more engaged, we're happy to address those things in those newsletters and make sure that you have the information that's required so that you can make those decisions and work with us as well.
So when I was 12 or 13, my neighbor had a paper route. And every time he went out of town, I got to take the paper route from him and go door to door. And almost everybody in the neighborhood got the newspaper. When I turned 18, I would pull out the newspaper and look at the help wanted, and that's how I looked for jobs. That's how we found coupons for groceries. That's how we found about events in the city. A lot has changed since then, and the diversity of people and how they get their communication is all very unique and different. We've pushed for YouTube and Facebook lives of council and planning commission meetings. We've revamped the website. We've tried a lot of different ways to reach out to folks, and what we really need is to hear from everybody. What's the best way to communicate with you? I mean, there's nothing that's trying to be hidden anywhere, but at the same time, it's hard to connect with everybody in their busy life.
Let's start with Ryan on this one. What are your ideas for improving public safety in our community, addressing concerns like crime prevention or emergency response?
Okay, this is a big one for the city. I think public safety is probably a number one priority as a government, for any government. And while crime prevention kind of comes down to the individuals, we can assist by helping with things that build strong communities through some of our events and some of our engagement that we do. We reach out, in various ways to the community to try to build the community. But one of the things that I've been pushing as well is to have some preparedness, and I think the city's moving in the right direction to be prepared for natural disasters as well. I think this is a huge question, and it's tough to answer in 1 minute, but we can also support our law enforcement by recognizing them, and we've tried to do that, but I think we can do more of it.
Yeah, I think, Brian hit it right on the head, where safety is number one. That is my number one priority, with the city. And so we have to manage that. We have to manage the budget and manage what the sheriff's office is doing. I'm happy with the sheriff's office. I'm happy with what they're doing. I think they do an excellent job. But the sheriff's office is also bound by our budget and what we're providing them. And so some things come in, like big box stores like Walmart, we'll talk about that at some point, those are gonna increase crime. And so as a city, we need to be proactive. We need to get out in front of those things. The decisions have already been made in the city in the past that has caused our city to grow. And so with the law enforcement, we need to stay out in front of it. And then also definitely natural disaster and putting together those teams. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of community team effort. And that goes back to the last question on how we get the citizens involved, because that's where that's come from.
So on crime prevention, big one, I had a good conversation. Sheriff Arbonne called me. We have a great relationship, and we had a lot of conversation about what's taking place in the city. We do have some concerns with our safety. However, as far as budgeting and everything goes, most of the budget comes from the county for that. So that's something that has been a big issue lately. And there's a lot more details to it, but overall, the city is being protected and watched over. We're just struggling a little bit sometime with the staffing of the deputies. So crime prevention and things are really something to watch out for. We're also, for safety prevention, we've worked real hard to get what we call flock cameras through the city. If you've noticed in West Haven, we've had a reduction in auto thefts and some other things that happen if people steal something. These flock cameras that the city has purchased have been in conjunction with the sheriff's department to help them make it happen.
All right, safety, law enforcement. I agree that our Weber County Sheriff's Office is doing a fantastic job. Their response time to calls is on point. We still have concerns of speeding and children and mischief and kids hot rodding down the streets, and I think you're gonna find that in most places. Is there a way we can improve that or correct that? That would be yes, but it's gonna cost money, more money than we currently have in the budget for law enforcement. As far as safety for natural disasters, our staff has been working very, very diligently, building better plans and coming up with responses and documenting that in policy. Specifically, Dan Tanner has done an amazing job. And I think it's important that we all as a community understand what we need to do in that type of environment. I think that's something as a city we can grow upon and do better, of notifying the residents of different plans if certain scenarios happen. I know a lot of our religious groups do that right now, and it'd be nice to kind of come together in conjunction to see that go forward.
I also appreciate the work that the Weber County Sheriff puts in. And I think that the city can take steps, and it will probably cost a little bit more money. So hopefully there's ways that we can come up with that. But for the county sheriff you put their resources where there really is a problem, such as the speeding. Near my home, there's a sheriff who likes to come out at least 4 days a week, sits behind a bunch of tall weeds, and he catches people running red lights when right behind him there's a busy road where people are doing 70, 75 down which is safety in the morning. You know, he said they're in the morning when kids are going to school and the school buses are out. But so there's ways the cities could help that. And the natural disaster, we don't know what's going to happen. We've had issues of flooding, especially with the recent storms and other things that can come up. So I like the steps the city's taken, but we can take further steps and coordinating maybe with some outside sources as well. Thank you.
Some of the local business owners feel that it's hard to open and to run a small business in West Haven. And that often people lean more towards the corporate structure. Do you feel like that is an issue, and how would you address it to attract more local people?
I think I'm up. Small businesses and businesses in West Haven is a huge priority for me. Once I declared my candidacy for mayor, that was one thing that my phone has been ringing off the hook with businesses in West Haven or businesses that would like to come to West Haven, and they need quicker response time from the city. They need to be more enabled to get up and running, to be able to do their thing. We're in a place here where our founding fathers had this vision of no property tax, and the way that they did it was with commercial business. And so we need to make sure that we're supporting those local businesses and those local companies that want to come in and do business in our city, and we're not being a detriment to those businesses. We want to improve them and invite more in, and I think that's going to be my role as the mayor, is being a champion for our city, giving businesses a reason to set up shop in West Haven.
Yeah, small businesses, we've got some great ones in the city. I didn't know if people know, but we have over 500 businesses in West Haven. We've got a lot here. They support our taxes, everything with sales tax that is a big, big boon to us. You mentioned, big business or big corporations or big box stores. Well, they're important too, but we really are pouring a lot of focus out on our smaller businesses out there when we spend time making sure that they're appreciated. We're actually going to start recognizing them in tenure for the years that they put in here, and that's been in place. We've been trying to work on these things since July. So we've got some great plans for our small businesses, and we go out and meet with them. We do a lot of ribbon cuttings for new businesses that are here that they really appreciate, and it's been fun. It's been fun as a council.
Well, the question didn't really articulate what the troubles were, so it's kind of hard to address the question. I know for myself, I started a home business, and so did my wife, and we got business licenses through the city, and it was a breeze. For other businesses that are looking for a brick and mortar foundation type place, maybe we have a shortage of area where businesses need to come in. Maybe that's something that we can partner with some type of development to build our business district. One thing the council did do is brought fiber internet to the entire city that is also available to all businesses to help speed up all of their connectivity and ensure that they're profitable. I wish they articulated more in their question.
I think I've been out meeting with the various residents throughout the city, and one common thing I've heard from about half the people I've talked to is West Haven feels like it has a lot of big business, and it's hard for the small business to be heard. And especially from the point of developers. The developers that are local have told me, we feel like that the city prioritizes the big national developers over the smaller ones. And I think that a bigger push could be made for that, but also there is a lot of space and work could be done to bring more smaller business, retail, food, and others to be able to contribute to the city, especially with the sales tax. Local business is great, and it's great. It's a great way to get our citizens involved.
I think we have a great city for small business, and we are seeing more small businesses move into the area. While there is some concern with some of the big box stores and Walmart and that sort of thing, I do think some of those businesses will actually attract other small businesses, more independent businesses. And so one of the things that we can do as a council is continue to control crime, make it a great place to live and do business, and to plan and preserve commercial, and then continue with the trajectory that we're going in and planning for that economic growth. And that's something that we are working on, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
How well is the community meeting the needs of seniors, and what more needs to be done?
That's my question, right?
Yes.
Seniors, love our seniors. I spend a lot of time with seniors in this city, because we have what we call our senior lunch bunch. But seniors, that's been a big issue across the county and across Weaver County. They tried to push different areas and use different senior centers that are out there. West Haven doesn't have one. So we went ahead and contracted with Roy City because it was our closest one and provides a lot of services to people. So it helps Roy, but we have our personal senior services that we have here that are a lot of fun. We play games, we eat a meal, and we do it once a month. And we have a great group, usually about 30 some odd people that come out to that. And so it's a lot of fun to be involved with it overall. And I think that we have a great opportunity to learn from those seniors and the things that we do as well.
Just like Mayor Vanderwood said, we did partner with Roy in their Hope Center to help with the seniors, that they can travel up there and use that when needed. The lunch bunch is also a great thing that the mayor does. And I've got to join that twice, and it's a lot of fun to go out there and hang out with the seniors. We can definitely do more. We built the barn over at the Green Farm, and we partnered with the developer on that one to kind of have a trial period of what that community center could be, and if we could use that for the seniors as well. I think that's something we need to continue to investigate and understand how we can support the seniors in our community.
I really like the seniors of West Haven. They've been very kind, walking down the road, and they'll wave at us as they're driving, or over, even though it's not West Haven, near the crossing guard near Canesville Elementary. He'll wave at us, and every time I'm driving my daughter to school and going out and meeting seniors, some of them don't have ways to get out of their home. They feel like that they're stuck. And so I think that West Haven can take steps towards reaching out to the seniors who feel like they're stuck in their home, so that they can come to the dinners that the city holds monthly. The mayor said that there's 30. I'd like to see 200 people there. That would be awesome. And it goes in line with the communication. They don't necessarily use the social media or the tools that are available. So we need to find other ways to reach out. Thank you.
Well, I think it's already been stated, but the senior lunch bunch is something that was started, and the mayor's done a great job of supporting and continuing it. It is a great program. We have the partnership with the Roy Hope Center, as has been much mentioned. One of the things that we can continue to do to support seniors, I think, is as I've mentioned before, continue to promote safety. And seniors, like everybody else, want to feel safe and improve the walkability, so they can get out and enjoy the parks and those type of amenities that the city has some incredible amenities that way. And then support a variety of housing, which we do have, and housing that fits their needs. And that's about all.
Yeah, the senior community is so near and dear to so many of our hearts, and making sure that we have a place where they feel welcome and housing. That's so important. As the pricing of housing goes up and incomes are fixed, it makes it more and more challenging for those seniors. So obviously taxes becomes a problem, affording their taxes. And there's so many ways. The launch that's been mentioned multiple times is a great community effort, but really focusing on the citizens and especially the seniors and making sure that they feel welcome and they have all the amenities that they need with walking trails. And so the center and Roy is a fantastic partnership.
I say the word the corridor, is that everybody excited? There's a lot of talk about the corridor. Some people are for it, some people are against it. Is there enough infrastructure for that to happen? And what if the people do not support that?
Oh, is it me?
Yes,
Oh,
you.
wonderful, perfect. I recently responded to a resident on this question, and I really tried to take the time and ponder what the future is gonna look like. And I used the scenario of Salt Lake City. Bangor Highway right now is being converted into a freeway. They built the mountain corridor there on the west side. They're in the Olympics. They widened the freeway and built the spaghetti bowl. And I bet everybody that's old enough that remembers driving through that is glad that that's over. But you drive through Salt Lake now and you still can't get anywhere. It's super, super congested. And they did a pretty decent job of keeping up with roads. And I think that we are going to have to look at that as well as far as the extension of the West Davis corridor to come up north and how we can integrate with it to ensure that all the people that will be moving out here and out on West 12th Street have a way to get around without waiting in traffic for days and days.
So the West Davis corridor, personally, I enjoy that because I don't have to go to I-15 when I go to my office in Salt Lake. I'll take the extra time to go down 4300 West just to get to the entrance of that. So I'm excited for that. West Haven and UDOT and the counties are working together to bring into place before the population grows so big that we have a problem, that we don't have to move people out of their homes. One of the problems that with poor planning is in another city in Utah County is they're trying to put in a highway, but they have to displace so many people because they didn't plan ahead. So I think it's good that West Haven is planning ahead, but the city needs to make sure that they slow down when considering the West Davis corridor or any other local roads that are being built or proposed, and make sure that this is really the plan that they want to go with. Have they listened to the residents? Are there alternatives that can alleviate the traffic without making a majority of the city upset?
I think the corridor and the preservation of the corridor is really important in planning ahead. I think of it as a public safety issue. We have a unique challenge here along the Wasatch Front where we're kind of sandwiched between the lake and the mountains. And if something happens on I-15, you need to have another route to safely get people from A to B. And so I think it's vital to our economy and to our safety. And we have to look at it, plan ahead, and be realistic about it. While the change and the growth and maybe the displacement is hard, and it's never a good thing for those that are affected by it. It's important. We have to do it for safety reasons and for our economy and just preserving our ability to move around in an effective way.
Yeah, I agree that the corridor's coming. I think what it really comes down to is, as a city, what are we doing about the feeder roads that really come through and impact our city? The corridor is gonna happen, but there are decisions that are still being made, some decisions that the planning commission and the city council has landed on that obviously a lot of residents are upset about. So those are the things that we need to pay attention to right now. When some of those feeder roads were passed through and proposed in the planning commission, it was 2018. And we have 2019, and we have residents right now that bought home in the last 6 months that are saying, I didn't know that there was gonna be a road there. So that's where the transparency comes in, and that's what planning and getting out in front of these things really comes to really impact our residents, making sure that we know where are those feeder roads gonna be, and make sure the residents know, the developers know. The city did a great job of preserving the land, but everybody thought they were buying homes up there.
So the West Davis corridor, there's two corridors I think that may be in play here. But if you talk about the west corridor, we've had a lot of recent meetings with that, with UDOT. I've been able to get a hold of the city manager, and we've attended those meetings, and it's going to end at 4,000. And there are residents that anytime you put a road in the city, it's going to affect someone. I think about 4,000 when that was done, that's $50 million to put it in. West Haven paid $10 million for that. It affected a lot of people, but it is something that is being used pretty heavily now, and we need those things. The west corridor down there on that side is another avenue to the freeway, it's been mentioned, but it's going to bring a lot of different ways that we can bring different markets to the city. We look at the different ways that we can try and grow and make sure that they have good avenues, because we don't want people commuting longer, if they can, than 20 minutes, and that's something we try to do.
Okay, describe your engagement in local government. Please be specific about your public service on committees, commissions, and or attendance at council meetings.
I guess that's me. All right, so I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of experience in local government. I applied several years ago to join the planning commission. There was one position available, and unfortunately I wasn't selected for that, but I'm trying now to get my engagement. I've been to a couple city council meetings, and but my public service comes from my employment with the state of Utah. I work with cities all across the state, and I'm aware of what their focuses are, what their needs are. And sometimes I'll hear complaints of, well, this information needs to be available, so we have to make it available. Or can you make this change? And most of the time we can't, because there's laws to prevent us. So we have to refer them to their legislature. But right now I have just over 5 years with government employment, and I hope to get more experience.
So for the last 3+ years, I've been serving on the city council. Currently serve on a couple of committees with communities that care. For those that don't know, that's to help promote, safe communities through prevention of substance abuse and those type of things. Serve on the beautification committee and work with some great individuals on that, and we try to promote the beauty of the city. Also on the audit committee. Prior to that, I was involved with some state legislation through my business, and also I've just tried to stay engaged. I got to know Sheriff Marvin prior to my service on the council through some concerns that I had, and when he was running for the sheriff, I reached out to him and shared some of my ideas and concerns with an issue that was kind of important to me at that time regarding public safety. And so I've just tried to be involved in the community.
Yeah, for me, I mentioned I was on the planning commission for 2 terms. I started somebody's vacated term, so it wasn't quite the full 8 years, and that started back in 2005 when I joined the planning commission, I was appointed. And then prior to that, I spent probably 12 years, I would say, on the West Haven Days committee, which was the most fun. Did several different things on the West Haven Days committee. Was in charge of the breakfast at one point, but most of the time, I was just here for the West Haven Days through all the events and helping the back scenes and help everything run, and just volunteering and donating my time. The other thing that I'm super passionate about is I'm a licensed high school official. I officiate both softball and football. On Friday night, you see me at high school officiating a football game, and on Saturday morning, you'll see me over at the sports barn officiating our youth. And I'm doing that to give back and give them a good experience. If anybody has kids that play sports, I'm not official, really, when I came. So we try to fix that.
Yes, part of the question was attendance to council meetings. I have to come to those most of the time, but yeah, so a lot of attendance and a lot of time spent within the city and giving back to the city to make sure that things are moving smoothly and understood in the city. I'm involved with the West Haven Special Service District as a board member, the Weber Fire District as a board member. I'm on the Finance and Audit Committee there. With the Central Weaver Sewer District Board of Trustee, part of the Finance Committee there. The Utah League of Cities and Towns, I'm part of the Legislative Policy Committee member. The Communities of Care, like Councilmember Saunders, I'm part of that as well. WACOG, we sit in on that for transportation over the years, and that's how we were able to get a lot of funds for that. And also the Wasatch Front Regional Council on the 250 plan. So a few things.
So I started following city government about 6 years ago. I was a concerned resident with an issue, and then Mayor Bolos reached out to me and challenged me to come to a city council meeting. And so I did so, and then I showed up to a planning commission meeting, and I was quite shocked on how different their opinions were on the same matter. So then I went to the next city council, the next planning commission. So for 2 years, I attended in person to every meeting, just trying to understand what was going on with the city. And that's when I was asked to run for city council. Since then, I don't attend the planning commission meetings anymore. I've received some advice by an outgoing council member that try to leave that separate body of government, to do their work. And now I just read the Cliff Notes. But I also serve on the West Haven Special Service District, which is also known as our sewer board. I'm also over the Parks and Trails Committee, which we're trying to get off the ground as soon as we get the study back. But yeah, that's where I've been the last 6 years.
Okay, on the council, there's a developer, a real estate agent, somebody who has investments somewhere. How would you handle it if you had a decision to make that affected one of those things that you were involved in? What would you do?
Well, I would recuse myself, first of all, because I think it's important to recognize if somebody has a personal gain, they need to step out. It's important. I think it's legally imperative that they do that. And so if ever I saw like something that was a conflict of interest, or if I was unsure about if it was a conflict, and I've done this on the council, I've reached out to our city attorney and said, hey, I have this situation, do you feel like that's a conflict? And I always try to be open and responsive to that, because I think it's important that we don't have those conflicts.
Yeah, so recuse yourself is the obvious, step away and don't vote on that specific item that's on the agenda. That's the obvious one. But from there, I think it's very valuable to have a real estate professional, a real estate broker, have been 20 years. And it's super important to have that knowledge on these boards and on these committees so that we know what is being talked about. If we have a council or commission that's full of people that aren't in any of those fields because we want to stop growth, well, that's not going to work either, because now you don't have anybody with professional experience sitting in these seats. There's not always something to gain, and there's usually not something to gain. But what is the gain for the city is having a professional sit in these seats that knows what they're talking about when it comes to these developers and their agendas and what they're trying to accomplish.
I believe that it's ethically difficult because overall, having any personal gain in whatsoever is a struggle. I think that's a difficult thing to deal with. So we just don't do it. If we have developers or someone comes in and wants to gain any type of favor or favoritism over the city, we definitely turn that away. But as far as trying to understand what is best to do for the city, I think that we try and avoid any of those situations that could put us in harm's way, meaning that where, especially if there's a member up here that has a difficult time with the moving forward with that, because again, if there's gain in it, I just feel like either that you can recuse yourself on several occasions, but that's what we deal with is land development. So it's something that I try and stay away from as much as possible.
So I was sitting here trying to think what that would mean to me, what a specific situation would be. And the only thing I could think of is if I bought a parcel of land somewhere in West Haven and I wanted to change the zone, maybe I would come in and in that situation, I'd recuse myself. Or maybe I was gonna be the general contractor and develop the house myself. Maybe in that situation I would. But outside of that, I think there needs to be a clear separation between real estate development and sales and city government. Where we handle the zoning, it directly impacts the potential values and profits of people, and just the perception of having that, I would stay clear of that. I'm in construction, I'm a contractor, I bid a lot of projects, and I intentionally did not bid any projects in West Haven because I didn't want the perception of something like that happen. So for me, myself, I would just make sure I'm not in a position where I had to recuse myself.
If that ever came up, I would recuse myself. I'm glad to hear that's a theme across everyone here. And I think that there should be a clear separation between the developer, real estate, and government. There's no gray area. It's a black and white for me, a right or wrong. And any attempt to gain favor with the city through bribes, I'll do this for you, or it's not right. And so there needs, I want to make sure, I haven't looked at the city's rules, but I know with my employment and a lot of other state entities, there's processes in place to make sure that doesn't happen, where something has to go through multiple levels of approval in order to avoid that appearance of a conflict of interest of any type. So.
Where do you feel the city can improve, and what would you do to make that an improvement?
Whose turn is it on me?
I think it is.
Yeah,
Okay, what can the city do to improve? I think we've hit on a lot of them tonight. A few things is trust, transparency, some things I've been really vocal about in my campaign so far. And the last topic hit on it perfectly. Transparency is huge. Knowing exactly what's going on, keeping the citizens and residents informed on what's going on. I think that's a big one. A lot of times when residents get upset about things, it's because they weren't properly informed. I think most people would agree that things get taken out of hand, or they're misunderstood, and then it gets blown up and it can spiral. So one of the big things that I think the city can really look to improve on is communication and making sure that our residents are informed and know what's going on, which is not easy. That takes a lot of work, but I think we can improve on it.
One thing the city can definitely improve on is preservation of agricultural land. I agree with Austin with the fact that anytime we can get more residents involved, that's great. But I see that we need to watch out for our things that aren't being preserved as much as we'd like. I've got a great idea to work with residents on to try and save and preserve some of that ag land that's out there. I've been talking with a lot of mayors and different developers in different areas on how they worked around agricultural preservation. And I think there's a really good opportunity for us to separate ourselves and actually take the rural and the urban divide and actually make it real. We don't want to be blended in with Roy or Ogden. They're great cities, but we don't want to become one of those where we just have houses everywhere and it's just blocked in all the way around. So that would be something I would work on.
So the general plan is a big thing for me, and it was a big thing for me last time I ran for city council. And we're still working at it, chipping away. In conjunction with that, we've hired a lot of really good people, a lot of good staff members. We've had a little bit of a turnover in a couple of those spots, but we've finally outsourced the general plan and we're getting additional help on that. Hopefully we can solidify that. We can incorporate newer traffic studies of the city and the corridors and what the future might look like. I think that's a huge part of West Haven is the unknown. Residents don't know of what's happening around them, and a good, clean general plan, a map that's easily found on the website will help guide residents.
I think that in line with what's been said about agriculture preservation versus the residential, I think there does need to be a clear divide, and the city is going through a general plan update, and now is the time to put things in a plan in place to say this is the agriculture and it's going to stay that way. We need to have a designation to say, okay, this is agriculture, this is green space, it will not be developed. That way we can keep our rural base and still have other areas that say, well, you know what, we can develop this area. We're going to put in a good mix of affordable homes because I don't know, last time if you checked, homes are very expensive and it's hard for anyone to buy. So have affordable, but also medium and high-end homes. West Haven is a good city, and having a communication so that everyone is involved with.
Okay, sorry, my microphone's on. Improving, you know, it kind of sounds like when we say we need to improve this, doesn't always mean that the city's doing a bad job. And I think I'd like to preface that with some of the things that I've already mentioned. I think we are doing a good job with policing, but I think we can increase the number of officers to continue, you know, to improve safety. We are moving in the right direction for preparedness for natural disasters and those sort of things. But I think we can continue to improve that and push that forward. We have awesome parks, and we have a lot of them, but we need to improve the open space that we already have. And we need to finish off some of those parks so that the residents can actually get what they were promised. And we are moving towards that. Like Ryan said,
Already answered this one, right?
So Sarah's wrong.
I think it's me.
Who's Rob? Yeah.
Some of the development that's happening here in West Haven does not have the infrastructure in place to support that. What do you plan to do about that?
Well, I'm gonna get a shovel and, it's difficult. It's difficult. With the infrastructure was one of the issues I brought up at the very beginning. We have to improve on our infrastructure before we continue building. And that's a difficult thing to work through as a city because it costs funds and we have to get grants and it's a lot to do, but that's what our job is. Our job is to make sure that we secure funds, we plan for those things, we try and do our best to get these roads completed so that we do have a good moving system throughout the city and even beyond. We are a pass-through city. And as we look at that, we have to accommodate several people. So we work on those funding options with that in mind, that we do have to provide as much infrastructure as we can prior to building. And we do make a lot of the developers go through traffic studies first, just to make sure.
So when I think of infrastructure, I think of water and sewer and roads and sidewalk. And I think we are doing a really good job ensuring that we have that throughout the city. We are a fairly young city and we have newer roads and newer utilities in most places. There are locations where we have some terrible water lines, and unfortunately that's not a city water line. None of the water lines are city water lines. And that might be something that we could look at trying to find a way to improve, is to kind of band all the water companies together and improve there. So I'm in data centers, and I think natural gas and lots of power. And so I think of like big data centers coming in here. We would never sustain a company like that. And so when it comes to specialized business or commercial, we might look to what attracts those types of companies and maybe look at, buffing that up for them.
The city council meeting I attended a few weeks ago, there was residents bringing up comments about the storm drains were flooding and a lot of the homes had flooded. I'm sure all of you who were here remember that. And they were asking the city to help out because their insurers weren't helping. And I think it's important that with any new development that the developer is held accountable, that they put in a sufficient system. for the storm drains of sewer, for all type of infrastructure, including the roads. And the city needs to be able to enforce our guidelines that is in the West Haven ordinances are being held to a standard, whether it's sending out an engineer to verify it or the city manager, a person who's qualified to make sure that the correct is getting put in place instead of a cost-cutting measure by a home developer or a commercial developer.
I think, this is something the city has done well at in some areas and not so well in others. And I think Brett brings up the drainage issues. Those are some of the things that in the past, I don't think developers were held to account, and we've tried to rectify that, improve that moving forward, and so that we don't have continued flooding issues. It's a tough thing out here in West Haven. We have a high water table, and it's just something that we need to deal with and look at, plan for, and continue to work on that general plan and plan a proper infrastructure, just like the sidewalks and the other things that have been mentioned. And I think as we do that, we'll kind of catch up in the weak areas, and we'll continue to be strong in the areas that we're doing well.
Yeah, this is an area that I would, like to say kudos to the current, council for, in them slowing down the growth has given us a chance to catch up on a lot of these things. And I think that's the biggest thing was we weren't planning far enough ahead, and we weren't being proactive and getting the residents' input on what's necessary and what's needed. I mentioned earlier about the schools and the sidewalks and those things, but safety's gotta be paramount. And so we need to be proactive and plan with the residents to make sure that these schools and areas that are growing, that children have the appropriate ways to cross the streets and to get to school. And that's the biggest thing is planning, being proactive, and not letting this development sneak up on us like we all learned from the past.
Okay, last question. One word, tell us why, what characteristic you have that would make you the best candidate for this position. One word. Where do we start?
I
Ryan?
think it's on Ryan. Unless you don't want to.
Which Ryan?
One,
Yeah.
this one, one word. I would think service would be my word.
Right?
Ethical.
I listen.
What did you say?
Listen.
Okay.
Integrity.
Experience.
Okay, great. Now you have a minute and a half to tell us why you're the best person for the job. Right, you start.
Make the new guy do this.
Yes, of course.
All right.
Baptized by fire.
So I think I'm a good person to join the city council because I bring a new perspective. I grew up in Roy. I saw West Haven as a small city. I've lived here for 4 years. I've been able to see it grow. But my experience with state and federal government and dealing with cities all across the state of Utah, dealing with infrastructure, finances, make me a good person to be able to bring that experience and that knowledge to West Haven. What can we do to preserve the city that we love? And yes, I am in one of the high density housing in the townhomes, but which I think was great because it's all that was affordable 4 years ago. And I like bringing a new perspective to things and bringing transparency. I'm all about if it's not done in the dark, if it's done in the dark, it's bad. Everything needs to be clear and well-informed. I like building dashboards and tools to make information available to everybody so that residents can see exactly what is going on in the city of West Haven. Plus, I'm a family person. I've got 2 beautiful daughters, my wife who's supported me the last 7 years. Thank you.
This is always difficult because we have to sit up here and toot our own horn, right? I guess the reason I chose listen is because I think it's important to listen to all the parties that are involved. And, sometimes it's easy as a council member to just say no, no, no. But sometimes we have to have an open mind and even admit when we're wrong and be able to pivot. And so, I think that's what I bring to the council. I think I can listen to all the parties that are involved and try to make the best decision. And my decisions aren't always perfect. And when I make the wrong decision, I think I can admit that and try to turn it around. And the other thing is, I feel like I'll work hard for you, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think I'm the best candidate, for a lot of reasons, and a minute and a half's not quite enough, but the biggest thing is things I've already preached on: integrity, trust, transparency. Those are the things that I'm willing to bring to the city. And as well as my resume, my background with real estate. I'm currently the director of architectural interiors at a company in Salt Lake. That's what I do full time. I haven't sold a home in 5 years in Weaver County. So benefiting from home sales isn't something that I'm currently doing, but it's something that I have a lot of experience with in the past. So I know what developers are looking for. I know what advantages they're trying to take from the city. So with that, and then with my current role, I lead a team, and we do mostly government work. And with that government work, we have to be on point. We have to make sure we follow through with things. We have to do what we say what we do. And then the other point that I like to make is doing more with less, working hard to make sure that we're very responsible with the city's money, with the funding, and taking those things very serious so that we can provide safety, number one, and then ultimately do those things that earn the trust and transparency from our residents.
Well, I toot your own horn. It's tough, but you know, success really comes from the team that you build around you. I can't say enough about our council. The council is the one that makes the decisions, actually. We bring, as a mayor, I bring some of the decisions that I feel like are a good idea just for their consent to look at and for their opportunity to review. So I try and do the best that I can. And looking at the city, I attend more meetings probably than a lot of people do. I work very closely with the city manager. That's my job. And but I gotta say, we've got a great council. It doesn't mean that it can't change. It just means that we've got a great council right now that does a fantastic job. We work well together. And that's good for the city. I don't know if you've seen other cities around us that are having so many struggles, but I feel very blessed to work with the group that we do. We also have a great staff, and the biggest part of it is the people that we work with, the residents. The residents having your voice heard and coming to the meetings, calling me on the phone, meeting with you. That's what's important, because I get to hear what you need, and we try and do the best we can to get there. And that's what we've done the last 4 years. So I'd like to continue that if you let me.
Ryan?
Well, I would ask for your vote. The reasons being, I've been here for 4 years. I've learned quite a bit, and there's still a lot of good work to do. Our general plan is something that I really want to see get ironed out. And with the community survey that we've had with our staff and outsourcing that to some consultants, I think we're on the right track to making sure that we ensure the future of West Haven is secured. I will not vote for any high density going forward. I think we have a nice balance right now, if not imbalance of high density. I would also forego any property taxes unless the city is going to go upside down. That's something that we can work around and plan for. And so if those are things that you believe in, I ask for your vote.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for coming. Be sure if you want to, or you have any neighbors who want to listen to what they've said, be sure you give them, we kind of did the women voters on Facebook, or ask one of these people for the Zoom link, which I'll get to them hopefully tonight. We need to give these people a round of applause. It's not easy to run for office. Every single thing you do is picked apart. So you should be thankful that you have this good of choices to choose from. Thanks so much for coming. Have a good night.
You did a great job. Yeah, your nerves, oh my gosh, my nerves. Yeah, it's a lot.
Wow.
Hey, you too.
Dan's